Kal Kadosh, Boker Or, Masechet Bava Metzia Daf Lamed Gimel Amud Aleph 33a1. We're going to start on the last line, the last two words. Tashema. We're trying to bring a proof. Is Sar Ba'alei Chayim Mina Torah or not? So is Sar Ba'alei Chayim Mina Torah or not? Okay? So it says over here in the Pasuk, Rovetz Tachat Masao. What does it mean, Rovetz? Rovetz is like he's crouching. Velo Ravtzan. And not that he's usually doing such a thing. Which means that a chamor that does such a thing, right? No, it's talking about the mamash that usually he's a normal donkey. You know, all of a sudden he's collapsing underneath it. Rovetz velo omed. When it says rovetz, it means that he's like like lying down basically, and not that he's still standing up. That means even though it's still heavy, if he's still standing up, you still don't have it. You still don't have this mitzvah of unloading. Tachat masa'o velo meforak. What does that mean? When it says here tachat masa'o, it means it's mashma that the chiyuv, is the obligation, right, is going to be to help out and not vivlo meforak, and not to come and to help out on something which is already going to be out. It's already going to be off. Okay, that's what it means when it says tachat masa'o. When it says tachat masa'o, masu sheyachol la'amod bo, it has to be that you put on him something which was fitting for him to stand by. What does that mean? If you remember, we said that if a person right now has something which is going to be fitting for him to stand by it, so it's nothing, which means that you cannot come and put double the burden and then expect the guy to come and start taking. No. It has to be something which is normal, right, for it to come. Okay? Next. V'yamarta, now if you're going to tell me, tzar ba'alei chayim doraita, mali rovetz umali ravtzan. What is the difference between rovetz or ravtzan? Right? Umali omed. And what's the difference between omed, standing up? Okay? Which means, if you're going to tell me that it's tzar ba'alei chayim, what do I care now? How exactly is the animal, not the animal? Well, what do you care how it is? At the end of the day, the animal's suffering. Kaddish, that's it. Tzar ba'alei chayim is doraita, and we finish the story. And that's it. So answers the Gemara. Hamyani, who is this? He says Rabbi Yosef Galilehi. That according to Shitat Rabbi Yosef Galilehi, Tzar ba'alei chayim is the Rabbanan. So since Tzar ba'alei chayim is the Rabbanan, that's why he's saying that it all depends how the animal is. Because if you're hold that it's the Rabbanan, so therefore that's why it has certain guidelines. But if you hold this Doraita, I don't care what it is, the animal suffering, animal suffering.
Noah, there's not proof that it's Doraita.
So now says the Gemara, okay, Achinami mistabra. It's also logical. The Ketani, we learned Tachat masao. What does it mean now? Tachat masao. Masui shiachol la'amod bo. We're talking about the masui, which you could actually withstand. So man shama le di'it le'hai svara. Who's the one that holds this svara? Rabbi Yosef Galilehi. So shema mina, that's what we actually learned. That this shita is like Rabbi Yosef Galilehi. Meaning, who's the one that has to say that there's only a mitzvah of prikata chamor only when he can withstand it? Meaning that if I overburdened it, you're not obligated to come to take it off. Who's that? That's Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef Galilehi, right? That he comes and he says that this is his shita. Fine. Next. Umimatzit mukmala. Can you actually come and say that it's going to be like Rabbi Yosef Galilehi? Vaktani Seifa. The Seifa says, Tachat Masao. What does it mean now, Tachat Masao? It says, Tachat Masao velo meforak. What does that mean? We're talking about Tachat Masao and not that you have to actually come and you have to put it on. Okay? Mailo meforak. What does that mean? Ile malo meforak klal. If you're going to tell me that the Masa was, that means you don't have to help it at all to actually come and to pick it up and put it on the animal. Haktiv, it's written, Hakem takim imod, which means just like there's a mitzvah to unload, there's a mitzvah to load. Okay, so there's a mitzvah going both ways. Elapshita, but rather it's obvious, lo meforak, right? That we're talking about that it's not meforak, which means bechinam. You don't have to unload it, right? Bechinam. Ela bischar. If you remember, we mentioned that the unloading has to be done for free, but the loading was a machloket, whether it was going to be done for free or whether you could charge for the loading. Right, that was the difference between, right, the two different things that we had. Okay?
Who holds you have to load for...
So the Gemara now says, right, so obviously we're talking about that it's talking about Bischar. So who's the one that actually holds the Svara? It's Chachamim that they argue on Rabbi Yosef Galilehi, right? So says the Gemara, no, you're right. Leolam Rabbi Yosef Galilehi, really remember we're talking about Shitat Rabbi Yosef Galilehi, Uvetina, but to do with doing it for free, Rabbi Yosef Galilehi hold like the rabbis that you're not obligated to do it for free, but rather you could do it with schar, with money. Which means that they argue on, I think it was Rabbi Shimon. Yeah, Rabbi Shimon, very good. So Rabbi Shimon was the one that says that you do it for free, and the rabbi said that you do it for money. So Rabbi Yosef he holds that you could do it for money, just like the rabbis. Okay, fine. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned that Braita. Ki tir'eh, when you're going to see a chamor sonacha, rovetz tacha masao. So it says like this, Yachol afilu merachok. I would have thought to say that even if it's going to be merachok, far away, tamulumar kamsitchu ki tifga. What does it mean ki tifga? Only when you get closer to it, meaning you're not obligated if you're so far away. When you get closer to it, so iki tifga yachol p'kijama. So it's much when you actually see it within daled amot. Tamulumar ki tireh when you see it. Ve'ezo reiyah sheish. So what is the reiyah that you see p'kiyah? Shiuru chachamim echad misheva mechza b'mil. We're talking about 1 in 7.5 mils, which is going to be called a ris. It's between 128 to 160 meters. Okay, interesting. Yeah, makes sense or not?
It's a long time.
Yeah?
Long space.
Okay. Tana, and we also learned, medadeh imo ad parsa. Yeah, you could go until a parsa, which means you go with the animal in order that it shouldn't fall again, right? Until a parsa.
Is that a mile?
Well, actually, a parsa is 4 mil, which is just under 4 kilometers. Remember, every single mil, according to Grachnae, is 970 kilometers, or 940, I don't remember exactly. And then according to the Chazonish, is 1 point whatever it is, 1.15.
It's a long way.
Yeah. The Amar Rabbi Chana said, you even get reward
Payment.
for coming and taking the animal until a person. So it says the Mishnah Lamed Gimel Amud Aleph 33a on the Mishnah. Avedato v'avedat aviv, avedato kodemet. If you have your lost object or the lost object of your father, right? Your lost object comes first, obviously. Next one, avedato v'avedat rabo. If it's going to be your lost object or the avedah of your rabbi, yours comes first. Avedat aviv avedat rabo. If it's going to be your rabbi and your rabbi comes first. Shaviv v'yo le'olam hazeh, because your father brings you to olam hazeh. Ve'rabo shelamdo chokhmah, and your rabbi that he teaches you chokhmah, he brings you to olam haba. Yeah, you heard that, Richard? Very important.
Of course, I'm aware
Vim
of that.
aviv chacham, but if your father is also a chacham, so therefore your father comes first. Haya aviv v'rabo nosim. So if your father and your rabbi are carrying something, maniachet shel rabo, right? V'acham maniachet shel aviv. First you take care of your rabbi and then your father. Aviv v'rabo v'tashev. If they're both captured, first you redeem your rabbi and then you redeem your father. Vim aviv chacham, but again, if your father is a chacham, so then you redeem your father. Ve'achar kach podet rabo, and then afterwards your rabbi. Okay? Says the Gemara. Menan mile. Where are these words? What does that mean? Where are these words? Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav. Says Rav Yehuda in the name of Rav. Amar Ka, the pasuk says, Efes ki lo yeh becha evyon. What does that mean? We don't want you to be an evyon. Shelcha kodem leshel kol adam. Right? Yours is always going to be before anybody else. Ve'amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav, and says of you the name of Rav, kol ha'mekayem be'atzmo kach. Anybody that's going to be mekayem, that he's always going to be midatek, that maybe he's going to lose money, sof bali dekach. He's going to happen that he will become an evyon, which means that if a person has to be careful that he will never become an ani. So therefore you have to be careful with your own money before anybody else's money. Right? And that's what Rav Yehuda in the name of Rav comes and he says that even though you're not chayav to save your friend's money, right? But if you're always going to be midaktek like that, so a person will actually become required for them. Even though mi'ikaradin, a person has to be choshesh for his own money and not to save his friend's money, but don't do that all the time. Sometimes it's good to be mishurat adin to also make sure that your friend doesn't lose money as well. Because if not, so the person will actually become an avyon. Okay? Next, 2 dots. Yeah? If your father and rabbi are carrying something, so you first do your rabbi and then your father. We learned to the Braita. Your rabbi is it's only your rabbi that he taught you like Gemara and things like that, not just your rabbi that taught you Tanakh. Mikra is Tanakh, right? Mishnah or Mishnah, like Mishnayot. These are the words of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yehuda says no. Kol sherov chokhmato imenu. It has to be the majority of your chokhmah comes from him. Rabbi Yosef says afilu lo hiyidina vela b'mishnah achat. Even if it's going to be 1 mishnah, that's your rabbi. Even 1 mishnah, that's already going to be enough. Okay, so Amar Rava, Rava comes and he says, Kegon, for example, Rav Sechora, the Asberan that he explained what is the kli which is brought down in the Mishnah in Kelim where it says Zuamal Listeron, that we didn't know what type of a kli was, what utensil was. And Rav Sechora came and he told us that it was like a utensil which was used to take out the ketzef of the kedera, like to take out like the fats or the top part. Right? Richard loves this. Whenever we used to have chulans.
Froth from the pot.
Whenever we used to have the chulans, he used to come and take out all the oil, right, from the top. So it's the same type of a concept, right?
To do that.
100%, Richard. I agree with you 100%. That's why I'm speaking about your praises,
Okay.
right? Shmuel, Karamaneh, Shmuel, he tore his clothing like a kriya, just like a talmid is obligated to do for his rabbi that passes away. So we were just doing smichat chaver, and we just learned this. So alei haum rabbanan, on the rabbi, right, the Asbere that explained to him, echad shiorel lamata shechi, that somebody, basically we're talking about a kohen, which is opening up with two different keys. He's, in order to go down, the kohen had to go down, right, to the, he had to put his hand inside of the hole in order to come until his arm, right? And then he was able to open up the door from the other side. Everyone understood? Basically, what used to happen in the Bet HaMikdash, let's say this door was locked. The only way to unlock it was basically he had to open up like a little tiny door, trap door over here, put his hand until the Bet HaShechi inside, and then come and unlock the door, right, in order that they could come inside. So he said, so therefore this rabbi went and he explained to him what that was. V'echad poteach kivan. And one of them was opening up without any tircha whatsoever, which means that it was basically the kohanim that they used to do dishun mizbeach, which is trumat hadeshen, which was this week's parasha actually, right? So he says that, and the menorah also, they used to come to the Bet HaMikdash with the two keys, right? And then they used to come, and that was what the Mishnah was talking about. So since he came and he explained to them this concept of the Mishnah, he already tore kriya. He tore his clothing when this person passed away.
Wow.
Okay? Just to show you. So Amar Ula comes and he says, Talmidei Chachamim shebebavel, Talmidei Chachamim bebavel, omdim ze mipnei ze. Right? Each one of them are going to stand up, one for each other. The korin zal ze, and they actually do kriya for each other. Ulinyan aveda, and to do with the lost object, bimkom aviv, enan chozrim l'rabbo muvak. But to do with the lost object to their father, to the rabbi, there they would give it back to their father unless it's going to be his rabbi muvhak. Rabbi muvhak means that the majority of his chumah came from him. Yeah? Yes. Kabaya mine Rav Chastam Ravuna, because Rav Chasta asked from his rabbi Ravuna, Talmid v'tzarich lo rabbo mai. What happens if that Talmid, right, he heard Shmuot from another rabbi, and the rabbi, right, is learning from him those Shmuot? What's halacha? Meaning, is this rabbi considered his rabbi, even though, right, sometimes, right, he actually has to tell the rabbi some of the halachot. So, for example, let's say you had a student that he learned from a big rabbi, and then the student comes in front of this rabbi. Now he's learning from this rabbi, but once in a while he's going to come and he's going to teach the rabbi the things, the chidushim that was taught by the other rabbi. So that's what it means. Talmid v'tzarich lo rabbo. So Amar lo Rav Chavatz halacha. So Elmaleh, he told him, Chasta lo tzrich nachach. I don't need you. At tzrich ali ad 40 shanim. You need me for until 40 years old. Ik pedi adadi v'lo ele legbe adadi. So after this, Rav Huna and Rav Chasta, they were makpidim on each other, and therefore they never came in front of each other. Meaning the second that he said that, he was makpid. He never went to him. So Yativ Rav Chasta 40 tanita.
I thought he was talking
right?
about him.
Yes, exactly. So he came and he said, so Rav Chasta went and he was doing tanit for 40 taniyot, mishum dechalash tated Rav Huna, because of the chalishut dat of Rav Huna. V'yati Rav Huna, right, 40 tanita, and Rav Huna came and he did 40 taniyot because he was suspecting of Rav Chasta not fittingly. Everyone understood such an incredible musar. Rav Chasta was a student, but Rav Chasta beforehand learned, right, with a different.
Rav Huna, he was the giant.
Which one?
You said.
So Rav Chasta was a student, and what happened is that he asked his Rebbe, Rav Huna, what happens if the student is teaching also the rabbi, meaning that the rabbi needs the student. So Rav Huna thought he's talking about himself. So he tells Rav Chista, I don't need you. You need me until you're 40 years old, like basically until the 40 years old. What? So now Rav Chasta, he started doing 40 ta'aniyot because basically he caused that Rav Huna felt bad. So he made his Rebbe feel bad, so he did 40 ta'aniyot. Now Rav Huna also did 40 ta'aniyot because he suspected Rav Chasta, of speaking about himself, and really Bemet, he wasn't speaking about himself. Really was talking about, what? In general. So Itmar, it was stated, Yeah, Rav Yitzchak, Bar Yosef Amar Rav Yochanan. Says Rav Yitzchak Bar Yosef to Rav Yochanan. Halacha Zek Rav Yehuda. That his rabbi is that the majority of the chokhmah comes from him. Rav Acha Bar Ravuna Amar Rav Sheshat. Halacha Zek Rav Yosef. That even if it was one Mishnah, he's considered your rabbi. So says the Gemara, Umi Amar Rav Yochanan Hachi. Does Rav Yochanan actually say that halacha Zek Rav Yosef? V'Amar Rav Yochanan says halacha Zek Stam Mishnah. And therefore, Utzanan we say Rabbi Shalim do chokhmah. My chokhmah, Rov chokhmah to the majority of the chokhmah, obviously. So that's what the answer the Gemara actually answers. That means basically it's not a stira. When he said chokhmah, right, it means the majority of his chokhmah. That means even though it said chokhmah, the majority of his chokhmah left. So therefore, the halacha is like the Stam Mishnah. The halacha, like Rabbi Yochanan says, is that really be'emet, it's somebody that the majority of the wisdom comes from him. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned to the Braita. Hauskim b'mikra. If somebody they come and they learn Chumash or they learn Tanakh, midah ve'ena midah. So that's an agat tova, which is fitting but not fitting. Right, but it's not that great because Mishnah and Gemara is more than the Tanakh. Mishnah, it's good, but Gemara, there's nothing greater than Gemara. But you should always run right to the Mishnah more than Gemara. So the Gemara is going to ask, I don't understand you. You told me that Tanakh and Mishnah and Gemara is greater. Mishnah and Gemara is greater. But then it says, but always run to Mishnah. So it doesn't make sense. If you just told me the Gemara is the greatest, so why are you running to the Mishnah? Right? So Hagufa Kashya. Amarta, you just told me there's nothing greater than Gemara. That means Gemara is more important than Mishnah. But then you told me you love Mishnah. You're telling me the Gemara. Run to the Mishnah even more than the Gemara. What's going on? So Rabbi Yochanan says, Bimei Lamed Gimel Amubet 33b. Bimei Rebbe Mishnah Zot. This Mishnah was taught during the days of Rabbi. Shav Kukule Amra Matnitim ve'az Lubat Gemara. Everybody stopped learning Mishnayot and they were running to the Gemarot, which means that they stopped doing Chazarot on the Mishnayot and they were doing Pilpul the majority of the times. So because of that, they went and they said that it's always run to learn Mishnah. Therefore, they went and they said always run after the Mishnah more than the Gemara. So says the Gemara, my darush. What was the dirasha? From which pasuk they duresh that obviously the Mishnah is better than Tanakh and the Gemara is better than Mishnah. So he says, "Kedirash of Yehuda bar Eli," just like Yehuda bar Eli says. There was the meaning of the pasuk, "Hagel le'amim, pisham bet Yaakov chatotam." You're going to tell my nation their sins, and to bet Yaakov their chatot. So he says, "Hagel le'amim pisham elu tamidei chachamim shegagot naso lahem kizdonot." Remember that by the rabbis, their shogeg is like a zadon. That means their accidents are considered like as if they did something purposely. Ulbet Yaakov chatotam, these are amei haaretz. That their zadonot are like shkagot. And that's what it means in the Mishnah when it says, "Vidaomer hevezahir Talmud." You have to be careful in the Gemara and understanding the Gemara and understanding Talmud. Shigigat Talmud ole zadon. Because when a person comes and he makes an entire mistake, so therefore it's like you did it purposely. So every person has to be careful of that. So because of that, that's why he's coming and saying that a person has to be careful not making mistakes, right? That's why a person, one of the first things that they always teach you as a rabbi, right, and that you see by the rabbi, is that they're afraid to paskin. Meaning they're going to give you a psak, but they're afraid. Why? If you come and you see a guy that, like, you have to be careful. Why? Because that means, remember, you have to be afraid because if you make a mistake, that's considered that you purposely did it. Wow. So a person has to be very, very careful. That's why they always tell us, remember the Geinam is open underneath you. Because if you make a mistake, that's on your head. You understand? So it's like mamash, like it's not. Some people they come, don't worry about it. No. then I worry. You understand? Then I worry. Listen to the words of Hashem acharadim et devaro. These are the Talmidei Chachamim, right? What does that mean? Right? That they actually come and they try to understand well the words of Kadosh Baruch Hu. And that's whether it's Mishnayot, everything else. These are Baalei Mikra, the people that they come and they learn Mikra. Right? Sonechem, these are the ones which are Baalei Mishnah. Menadechem, these are the ones which are Me'aretz. So Shema Tomar, Pasak Svaram Vatal Sikuyam. Maybe you're going to say, listen, there's not going to be any partnership towards the Mashiach in such a way. Right? That you're going to see the happiness of everyone together. So Shema Tomar Yisrael Yivoshu, maybe you're going to say they're going to become embarrassed. So he says, Tamulumar Vehem Yivoshu, which are the Avdei Chachovim Yivoshu, but Yisrael are always going to be happy. And Adran Alach, Elu Metziot. Next perek. Says the Mishnah, Perek Shlishi, Lamed Gimel Amubet 33b, third chapter, Mishnah, in the middle of the page. HaMafkid etzel chavero behema ukelim. If you're going to be mafkid, remember a mafkid, right, or a mafkid is basically that somebody is going to come and you're going to deposit something as a collateral, like a picadon, a collateral, right? Whether it's an animal or utensils, in order to watch it for free, or it got stolen or lost. So shilem, if right now he paid for it, he did not want to swear that he didn't touch it. Because they said shomer chinam could swear, and then he becomes exempt. But he didn't want to do that. He paid for it, and then that way he doesn't have to swear. Nimtza ganav, if right now the ganav comes and he is found, mishalem tashlum kefel, he's going to pay the double of the amount. Tavachu bachar, he has to pay 4.5. Lemi mishalem, who does he pay back to? But the guy already paid. Meaning, if the guy would have sworn and then he's going to be exempt, so obviously it goes to the owner. But the guy actually paid. So now what happens? So he doesn't need to swear, but the opposite, because once he paid, he doesn't need to swear. But now that he paid, does it become his that was lost? And therefore, when the ganav is found, the ganav has to pay him, whether it's going to be the double or the 4 and 5 if he slaughtered it and sold it or not. So answers the Gemara, the Mishnah, Lamisha Pikadon, it's low. To the one that the Pikadon, which is to the Shomer. Nishbav lo ratzal shalem. But if he swore and he didn't want to pay, if they found the ganav, he pays the shalom kefel and shalem lebala pikadon, to the owner. Okay, so makes sense. Makes sense. Depends who it is. Okay, fine. Depends, meaning like depends if the guy paid it off already or not. So says the Gemara, why did I need to learn in the Mishnah also behema and also kelim, animals and also utensils? So answers the Gemara, we needed it. Titana behema, if it was only going to be written behema, hava mina, I would have thought to say behema udu makni lekfeila. Only by behema there's such a concept of kfeila mishud nefesh tirche leayule ulapkua. Because the shomer, he has a lot of tircha, bringing in the animal, bringing out the animal, and all those things. So that's why he should get it. But kelim, there's nothing there. So Ema would say, lo makne kfeila, he doesn't get. Meaning, even if the guy came and he paid the shom, meaning he paid back the balabait, he shouldn't get anything if it's a utensil. Because a utensil, he never did anything. Imagine right now I come and I give you this. You didn't do anything. It's a utensil. An animal I could understand. Listen, you're bringing in the animal, out the animal, in, out, this, da. Okay, fine. So now that it was stolen, and now he's going to pay back. But since I already paid it, the kefil comes to me. The double goes to me. But if it's a utensil, I didn't do anything. Why in the world would I get double? Right? V'itana kelim. Now, if you're only going to teach you kelim, Hava bin, I would have thought to say kelim udmakne kfeila. Only by kelim do you get the kfeila. Mishundulona fish kiflayu, but it's not a lot the double. Meaning, how much does this cost? $10. So the double is 20. It's not a big deal. But by behema, that when you're going to come and you're going to slaughter it and sell it, you're paying 4 and 5 times. Ema, I would say that you're never going to get the kefil. So tzikha, that's why you needed both cases. Meaning that you needed both cases because each side has a chidush, right? And that's what's so important. Okay, fine. Matkifla Rabbi Mechama comes, right? And he also, right? He comes and he actually says, and he says like this. He says, right? Matkifla Rabbi Mechama. He says what? A person cannot be makneh something which is not in the world. Which means, how could the mafkid come and be koneh to the shomer during the time of the pikadon, the kefel, if it's going to be stolen? It never came into the world. The general concept is, I cannot give you something that doesn't exist. Yeah? I cannot come and say, you know what, Richard, here, I'm selling you the fruits of my tree. I don't have a tree. But when I ever actually do, you can't do that. It's something which is not in this world. So the same thing. So Amar Afilu Rabbi Meir, and even according to Rabbi Meir, that he says that a person can be makneh davar shel olam. Hanaminu, one of these words, kigon perot dekel, only fruits of a tree that did not come up yet, but the tree is still in the world, right? David datu, that it's going to come for sure. Aval hacha, but in our case, right? He says mi emar lamedala demudalef on the top, 34a1 on the top. Mi emar demeganva. Whoever said it's going to get stolen. And even if you're going to tell me it is going to get stolen, whoever said you're going to find the ganav. And even if you are going to find the ganav, whoever said that he's going to pay, maybe he's going to be modeh. If he's modeh, he gets exempt from paying double. Mm-hmm. Remember, a person comes and he steals something, but he's modeh, he's actually exempt from double. So for whoever said that, so Amar Rava comes and he answers, Naasa kiomelo, it's like he sell them, lechsheti naganev v'tirtzev shalameni, if it's going to be stolen, and then you're going to pay me instead of swearing, so therefore it's going to be yours from the beginning. And then obviously we're going to ask questions on that.